in the woods with night danger. Although I'm really more in a clearing that we've made in the woods. We mow this little back section here because we thought maybe we might plant some apple trees or something. But for now, I'm here because as long as I'm in direct sunlight, it's so hot that the mosquitoes won't harass me. Now, it is very hot. I don't know what it's like wherever you are, but here in Old Ontario, it's oppressively hot. And then it's just so humid. It rained last night, and it's getting up into the mid to high 30s. That's Celsius. But with the Humidex, it's supposed to feel like 45 today. Something stupid like that. And so I'm sacrificing my temperature comfort and perspiring quite a lot because I would rather sweat than be drained by the bloodsuckers in that very damp, muggy, puddle-laden forest. Today, I want to talk about investigation, detective games. I'd mentioned in the last video that I would probably talk about this a bit, and I just wasn't sure about the angle to approach it from. And so I did two things. First, I went over to old YouTube, and I just looked up how to run a mystery game, RPG, and I watched the 10 top results that were relevant because the YouTube search engine gets worse by the day. But yeah, we found some big channels giving advice, and frankly, it's all terrible. There's a couple good pieces of advice in there, like don't artificially create red herrings because the players will generate red herrings for themselves. And that's true, but the whole genre is beset on all sides by ways to try and get away with railroading. They talk about make sure you have multiple paths to your ending. Well, that's still a railroad. It just has some junctions that reconvene later. They talk about floating clues, where if the players miss a piece of information in location A, when they get to location C, maybe just slip that clue back in there. That's a quantum ogre. In fantasy adventure design, everybody knows that's a load of crap. You're not supposed to do that. And yet, somehow, mystery games keep getting away with it. They keep getting away with telling game masters to railroad their players, to put up invisible walls, and to strip their players of agency. If they get off course, have a man walk in with a gun to get them back on track. It's all garbage. And so I went over to the old Twitter to talk about maybe has anyone tried a zero prep approach to mystery games, because low prep means fewer opportunities for the GM to put these artificial walls, these invisible walls up. But if you're trying to solve a mystery, there's supposed to be a solution, right? And I think this is why going forward there needs to be a delineation between mystery games and detective games within the subcategory, or rather the broader category of investigation. Investigation ought to be a tool in the arsenal of solving a crime as cops. When I ran both Call of Cthulhu and then later Cyberpunk, I had the players all play police officers. I didn't want to have a contrived group where there's a mechanic and a debutante and an academic and a private eye all working together to solve some mystery. Well, because I think that's dumb, actually. I don't like it. It's fine for maybe a one-shot, but I'm trying to have sustained play here. And so I had the players all play cops. And the thing about having them all play cops, law enforcement, is that the ways that you can go about solving the case expand outwards pretty significantly. Yes, you can go to the scene of the crime and you can gather evidence and clues. And yes, you can search other follow-up locations and you can interview suspects and witnesses. But you can get a little heavy-handed with it. You can brute force things. Sometimes a player might want to play a Philip Marlowe. They might want to play a Sam Spade, where it's all talking and slinking around and piecing together information. But maybe sometimes they want to go full Mickey Spillane. They want to play Mike Hammer. They want to walk around and beat people up. Get the info that way. Get the info by force. And it's funny because obviously when I spoke to people on Twitter about this, they all agreed with my basic suspicion, namely that things are not good when the game is just the players trying to ask questions of the GM. Is this here? What's here? What do I see? It's dull. It's not as exciting. And I'm not saying you need to put in a bunch of action set pieces to offset that, which has been the case for some of the gumshoe games like Night's Black Agent or the Esoterrorists. What I think is killing me here, and really what I want to talk about, is before Powered by the Apocalypse, before Apocalypse World and all these ultralight story games and narrative games, there was one game that came out of the Forge that I think understood this and did this correctly. That game was called Blade... I was about to say Blades in the Dark because I've played it so much and I've talked about it so much. But that's not the game I'm thinking of. Though Blades might come up later. That game is Dogs in the Vineyard. Vincent Baker's game about Mormon witch hunters in a slightly fantastic Wild West. And the reason that I think he gets the investigation genre right, and let's be clear here, there's a lot of problems with Dogs in the Vineyard. Dogs in the Vineyard has a very unintuitive and frustrating mechanical structure from a conflict resolution perspective. Every time you want to resolve anything, you got to get out a whole bunch of dice and play out this whole sequence. And there's a lot of problems with Dogs in the Vineyard, which is why I've never been able to really successfully make it work. But the thing it gets right is when it talks about designing your town. If you're not familiar, the game has the players as circuit riders. They go from town to town, delivering the mail, christening babies, and resolving conflicts. They're like the religious equivalent of police. They have authority to adjudicate on the law, to carry out sentences. Like they have real authority. And that, I think, is what makes the game work from an investigative perspective. Because the town design is not, well, here's my solution, here's my end state, and now I have to figure out how to get the players to that end state. The design is instead create a scenario, create a town with a couple NPCs in it and some problems that are boiling over or maybe have already started to boil over into murder, theft, whatever. And then put the players in and tell them it's their job to solve it. And we did about 7 sessions when we tried to run Dogs in the Vineyard. And each week it went a little different. Sometimes they were sleuthing it. Sometimes they were looking around, looking for evidence, interrogating people. And other times they just went in, got a rough idea of what was going wrong, and laid down the law by force. Not always violent force, sometimes just some browbeating, some yelling. But the point is, the game explicitly tells the game master not to provide solutions. Not to have an end state, a final scene, a final revelation where they crack the case and they solve it. And this is more fun. It's more satisfying. If the players are simply trying to restore order and punish the guilty and protect the innocent, the mysteries will get solved, or at the very least, they'll get dealt with. And often, the players would ride out of town having not learned all the information, or not learned who was really behind everything. But they restored order. This is a little abstract, and I'm having a little bit of a hard time. I might need to sit down and write something where I can lay it out point by point. But I think in a lot of ways this approach to a mystery is similar to... Oh, the sun's moving. I need to back up a bit. This approach to the mystery is a lot like dungeon design. A good dungeon doesn't have a final boss room that you're trying to corral the players towards. It's a location. It has problems, and the players can solve them however they want, or leave them alone, and then the consequences of that will get unfurled. This is how crime should be handled in RPGs. A crime was committed. Some people did it, and the players can deal with that situation however they wish, and then deal with the consequences of it. We have to stop thinking in terms of plot. Stop thinking in terms of we're trying to play a mystery novel. The fantasy world has at least started to move on from the idea that you're supposed to play out the events of a fantasy novel, but mystery games haven't let go of that yet. They haven't let go of the idea that players should be allowed to do whatever they want and solve problems however they want. And it hasn't let go of the idea of preventing player failure. Mystery games are afraid of letting the players lose, letting the killer get away to kill again, letting the conspiracy relocate and adapt to their responses and punish them for it. This is a very rambly video, because in a lot of ways it's me vocalizing my problem with the genre so that I can then later, in written form, structure a better argument. So thank you for bearing with me if you've watched this long. I think actually I'll stop here. I'll think about it. I have my notebook. My phone is propped up on it. And I'll write out some ideas, and then maybe later, I might post it in the comments of this video. I'll write up something about what's to be done. Oh, I certainly hope my dog isn't panting right into the microphone. Hey. Oh, okay. Hey, bud. So, in summary, Call of Cthulhu and all of its descendants are married to the railroad and don't know how to escape. And for all its faults, for all its flaws, I actually think that the Forge produced a little piece of adventure design, a little core principle that addresses this. And I'll need to explore this in greater depth, maybe pull some quotations from the rulebooks. Yeah. It's a beautiful day, despite the heat. If you have a porch or a balcony, maybe just sit outside. It's okay to sweat a little. The fresh air feels nice. The sun is very good for you. Yeah. This has been Night Danger. In the woods with his good buddy Watson. Screaming into the void about a project, an idea, that he just can't let go of. I just can't shake the desire to run good cop fiction. I think just now, like literally just at this exact moment, an idea came to me. And I might have to do a third part to this little run of videos I'm doing about synthesizing the gangster game and the detective game. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're cooking. There will be more in the near future. Do stay tuned. And make sure you get to church this Sunday. Very important. Jesus loves you.